in order to test whether the man in front of him was blind or not. The man took out a knife and threw it at David's head. Luckily, David overcame his inner fear and didn't show any signs of weakness. The sheriff thought he was overthinking it and left. Unbeknownst to him, he would pay a terrible price for his miscalculation in the future. Soon it was night. David came to the bar to play the piano as usual, but at the same time, Simi arrived. Apparently, Simi had heard something from the sheriff. She cautiously inquired about David. She was relieved to find out that David was blind, and David was secretly watching Simi. A woman who had killed her husband in the morning could come to the bar in the evening and drink as if nothing had happened. This made him feel even more terrible about Simi. Soon it was the next day. The rich man's body was found by the river. In an interview, Simi told the press that her husband had gone to a business deal yesterday with $10 million in cash, and today he was a corpse. The police suspected that it was a murder and robbery, and the police chief managed to frame a man for the crime, despite the man's explanation. In the end, he was forced to take the blame under the police's torture. Soon the police called the family to confirm, since David was also the last person to see the tycoon. The police called him to give a statement. Listening to the police read out the fabricated confession, he couldn't hold back any longer. But that's just his fantasy. If he told the truth, I'm afraid he'd end up like the tycoon. In the end, he was forced to sign a confession. He thought this would be the end of the matter, but things took a turn for the worse soon after. At the funeral for the tycoon, Simi told the story of what happened to him before he died, but there was someone else who witnessed the murder. After the funeral, the neighbor lady went to the police because she found out that Simi was lying. She remembered that a man had arrived at the tycoon's house before he came home. She took the elevator with him. When she saw the man enter the tycoon's house, she was puzzled. That's why she paid close attention to the tycoon's house. She realized that the man didn't come out when the tycoon went home. This is completely different from what Simi told her, although the old lady did not know the man, but she was sure she could recognize him if she saw him again. After hearing the old lady's story, the police turned to Simi. Simeon had to explain that the old woman was too old and might have mistaken the man who delivered pizzas last week as a suspect. So her story didn't have any credibility. The police didn't look into it, but the next day, the police and the sheriff talked about the old woman's words. The sheriff panicked. The police chief's wife even suggested that the tycoon was known as a good man in the area, so if he could get the old lady to paint a picture of the suspect, he might be able to solve the case. Then the police chief will get a promotion and a raise. The police officer even suggested to invite the old lady to the police station for a face-to-face interview, but these words sounded like urging to the chief of police. He had to explain that he would go to the old lady himself to investigate. On the other hand, Simi also knocked on the old lady's door when she found out about the incident, but unbeknownst to him, David had been invited by the rich man's daughter and was on his way to work as a private tutor. When the elevator opened, he saw Simi pushing the old lady down the stairs. He was so shocked that he almost fell down, and Simi saw what he was doing. David had to play it cool and pretend he didn't see anything. He went to the rich man's house and knocked on the door, but the rich man's daughter had already been called away by Simi, so there was no one to open the door for him. As the scene was getting awkward, someone finally found the old lady's body. The police concluded that the old lady fell to her death while watering the flowers on the balcony of her house. David rushed home in fear. He didn't realize that the old lady was silenced because